This is the year of wake up and smell the competition. Because Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack. Ain't no stopping me now.
I'm gonna make sure he go right out the ring, and I might get on the top of the bucket or the rope and come down with a flying elbow kick.
I'm going to cook him and see how he feels like it. I'm going to see if he's going to get up off the floor. I don't think he's got the bottle, minerals, bollocks, whatever you want to call it. He ain't got it. He's an on-top fighter. He's a bully fighter. And when a bully gets bullied, he falls every single time.
What is that song? I believe the Beatles had it. Is all you need is one. Deontay Wilder just needs one shot, and it's game over.
Thank you very much for being a dosser. Thank you.
Fury scores the knockdown in round number 3. 30 seconds remain, and Fury has fought Wilder. He said he would knock him out. He's gone for it here in the 3rd round. Wilder is down again. And what was he doing with his tongue right there? He was just shocked. He said in the lead-up, I want to taste blood. I believe that's what he was just doing there at the end of 6, tasting Wilder's blood. That was outrageous.
Second is laughing because he got beat up so bad.
Yes. What is up? MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube. Obviously, podcast form, iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. Which reminds me, I need to update the podcast feed ASAP after the show. And before I finish that top 5 scandals and boxing history list. But digressing, we're going to get to a bunch of boxing topics today or tonight, whenever you listen to this show. Fury Wilder 3 being rescheduled, Warrington versus Kanju, and some other topics. Plus, taking your topics and questions in the live chat. And might be talking about the little, tiff I had on social media with it, what seems to be all of Barstool Sports. Might get into that as well. A lot to talk about tonight or today's show. Again, wherever you're listening. And again, guys, stay safe out there in this pandemic. But without further ado, let me get to this illustrious panel. And I got to say, guys, it's almost a full panel because I can now say comfortably that a 3-man show is no longer a full panel because Mr. Foogatti is back. Foogatti in Dallas. Foo, it's been a while, man. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. Just living the quarantine life. So it's the new normal, the work from home normal, or whatever we've got going, the social distancing, all that stuff. So yeah, it's good to be here. I hope everybody's safe and sound. I hope everyone's taking this as serious as it seems to be, and all that good stuff. So yeah, ready to chat it up with you guys.
And as you're taking it serious out there and you're in your home, social distancing and quarantining and all that fun stuff, listen to the show, hit the like button, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And Gary, also in Dallas. Gary, how are you, man?
This is really starting to get me. Today it's starting to crack me a little bit, the quarantine life, right? Like it was like 85 degrees outside, perfectly sunny. And it's like, it's been a week since I've been outside. And I just I'm starting to get that solitary confinement feeling. Like I had to go outside. Which is weird because I'm typically a homebody for the most part anyway. Like I really don't like getting off my couch. But I like to go outside and barbecue. I like to go outside and work on the lawn. I like to go outside and shoot hoops, things like that. And I haven't done any of those things. And I had to go outside today and
you can still do those things, by the way, Gary.
Yeah, but I mean those things aren't fun without other people. You know what I'm saying? Like you can, but
you don't want to barbecue with your kids and your wife. That's not good enough for you.
And Barstool Sports, I know who they are, and I know they're pretty big. I know that Sundays is for the boys. They sued the NFL, and they made a lot of money off of that because they are saying is Sundays for the boys, and it was like football. And then the NFL made search for all their teams, like Jets are for the boys, Cowboys are for the and it was an infringement. They made a ton of money by suing the NFL off of that, and now they're huge. So that's good. I mean, I don't really know much about them. Do you know much about Barstool Sports?
I mean, I know a bit about them. I know that they're like it's
not fake news. It's just
a comedy outlet.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. But yeah, I mean, do we want to get into that first? Or we want to like wait till like later on the show to talk about my beef with Barstool Sports and me being on their podcast on Monday?
I'd like to leave with it just because I have my own curiosity.
Okay, we can leave it. First off, Gary, fix your camera. Secondly, it started because Dana White was out there, and I actually have the clip. I knew we were going to talk about this. I'll play the clip. Okay, Robbie Fox is the dude's name from Barstool. He's been around for a while, I want to say. He's been around before I was in the industry, I want to say, especially. I think he was around when like Conor came up, Conor McGregor. Like he was definitely around in that era. But he was with, or I should say, he was Skyping with Dana White and interviewing him. And Dana White recently said to the effect that media members who are criticizing the UFC are the wimpiest group of people on the planet. And they have no one they take care of. You know, just like really just stupid shit. And then Robbie decided to be a fucking bootlicker and, you know, interview him based off of that. So let's hear this clip.
I'm heartbroken, man.
I knew this.
I got to read you this quote. I'm going to read this quote out loud just for context so everyone knows the full scale of this thing.
Right.
Go online and look at some of these people. And this isn't a knock. This is just a fact. The weakest, wimpiest people on earth cover the biggest, baddest sport on earth.
Tell me I'm wrong.
But
except for you, I didn't mean you. I meant
you didn't
all the
mean
other
me.
guys.
Is that an official statement from you? You did not mean me.
Yeah, it's official.
Can I get
didn't
that
mean you.
on
I meant all the
letterhead?
other guys.
Can I get
You're
that on
talking
letterhead?
wrong. Yes. No, I meant everybody else.
That's not the whole interview, obviously. I will assume on Monday when I'm on their podcast, I'll be discussing the whole interview and its lack of substance. The caption, though, is reading, "Thanks to Dana White, as always, relive to know I was not one of the wimps he was referring to last week. As of the rest of y'all, you're on your own." Shrug emoji, laugh emoji. And I commented that he is a stain on media and journalism and a complete asshat. He decided to respond, and it kind of snowballed from there, guys, to where I was now invited on one of their podcasts to discuss Robbie Fox's interview with Dana White and my thoughts about Barstool Sports not being a journalistic outlet, because it's not. And I think shit like that's a stain. And for the reasons why, I'm going to obviously tell on that podcast, but, you know, for you guys, the listeners here, it's pretty clear. You can be a comedy satirical outlet a la The Onion and do quite well and not kiss corporate ass. You know what I mean? Like, I'd never see The Onion write or do fluff pieces for corporations they make fun of. Barstool Sports isn't that. They're a frat, TFM culture, MAGA culture bullshit community that thinks they're funny with bro comedy. It's not satire. Okay. And I think Robbie Fox has been a guy that will like cheer and clap in media row. And like, that's just something that's not allowed. Like, we get told that by the UFC PR company, that's not allowed. He does it. Why? Because he's the propaganda arm, a la all of Barstool Sports being the propaganda arm of whatever corporation they're reporting on. Because they're not actual satire. They're comedy.
Yeah, I remember that happened recently with the last Conor fight, right? He was cheering in press row.
I think he cried.
Yeah, and a lot of people brought up that, you know, you should be a journalist and not a fanboy. You know, like, it's not, you're not there to be a fan.
It's interesting with Barstool because I know Barstool Sports there that, you know, it's fairly well known.
It is.
I don't really follow them, and it's not satire like The Onion or Babylon Bee or like Natural News. I don't know if you guys. It's like that's like fake news, but they try to make it look real, and then at the end it's got you right. But it's not any of that. It's kind of like TMZ, kind of, but like it's not.
But frat bro culture.
Yeah, I mean, it tries to have like a Joe Rogan on steroids twist on everything. It
is designed for the college demographic.
Yeah,
100%. And I get it. I mean, I get their aim. I get their grift. I mean, everyone has a grift. It's a multi-million-dollar grift. Good for you. But don't come back at me and like be upset when I say that you guys aren't respectable journalists or media members. You aren't. And on top of it, I mean, David Portnoy, the founder and owner of Barstool Sports, I mean, that guy has a laundry list of bullshit we can talk about. And I cannot wait to delve in with them specifically on their show. Because this guy's a union-busting jackass that got investigated by the National Labor Relations Board because he made fake accounts trying to entangle his own employees and fire them when they wanted to create a union. What?
Yeah, not to mention, like, a lot of people fall back on that. We're not real journalists. We're just a comedy show. We're trying to have fun here. Like, don't hold us responsible, even though we have the same access. And even though our people that listen to us think that we are journalists or that we're presenting the same amount of information as like real journalists, don't hold us accountable for the same stuff. That's what they're trying to do. Like, it's really funny because they want to be taken seriously, but then when they fucking step out of line to what they should really be doing as journalists, they don't want you to hold their feet to the fire like you would another.
And I mean journalists, because look, like none of us are journalists. Like none of us have gone to journalism school or have a journalism degree.
I took an elective in journalism.
No. I did as well. I took a college course in journalism, of course, but like that.
But the difference is if in a moment, like if we ever wanted to go access journalism, anyone listening, if we wanted to, we could.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very easy.
Fucking sell out and do all the interviews and kiss ass and get a lot of plays. We just don't do it. One. And we keep it very real here. And when people hear what we're saying, a lot of times we don't get access because we don't kiss ass. So everyone going, oh, Matt's only mad because this guy got to interview Dana White. He wishes he had his access. Bullshit. That's not the truth.
And even that, I have tons of access.
Yeah, but it's not about that. It's like, it's a matter of like, that's not what is trying to be done here. You know, like we're very serious about one thing, and that's that this is our take on the sports that we watch, not somebody else's take that we just kind of come on the air and repeat in hopes that they'll like us and come on the show and help us get viewers. We've just done it a very different way than a lot of what we always talk about. A lot of boxing and MMA media is ass-kissing access journalism. It's all what it's all about. It's kissing up to the power to get into fights, get into like big rooms, and to get your flights paid for and hotels paid for. And we don't do that. We've never done that.
Right.
It's easy to do.
It's easy, and like I don't want to say it's necessary, but like Matt was saying, he had an interview with Rigo that was cut off in the middle because they didn't like the line of questioning. If Matt would have went in, they'd be like, "Why is your left hand so powerful? How did you get so slick in the ring? Which gold medal is your favorite?" Like the interview would have went on for hours, but you wouldn't have gotten it. You know what I'm saying? What's the purpose of that interview? You're really good looking too, Rigo. Like like if you interviewed Loma, I'd imagine it would sound something like that. You know?
Foof, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes. For me, it'd be like Canelo, of course. I think, like, again, I have no issue with people having fun or having comedy or even having a comedy or fun within an interview, right? Like, if you don't want to have a super confrontational adversarial interview, that's fine. But the context of what Dana White's statement was that Robbie referred to, Robbie Fox, Barstool, not Robbie Hearns, our co-host, maybe for some of our listeners, it might be confusing. The context is the COVID-19 pandemic and the fact that UFC is trying to put on events without proper regulation, going against government recommendations, and also not testing their fighters for coronavirus. And the pushback from most of MMA media for those reasons is completely valid. And for Robbie Fox to come in and say, oh, you know, like, this is no big deal. This isn't serious, because that's what he told me. This isn't serious, bro. No, the context of your question, the context of you guys' conversation is ultimately very serious. If you want to have a lighthearted interview, that's fine, but don't bring a serious topic into the interview and then treat it like a lighthearted one.
Also, don't bring up a serious topic. And if he had said, "Oh yeah, you're one of those wimps I was talking about," then that conversation probably would have taken on a completely different tone, where he would have been like, "How am I a wimp?" or whatever. He probably maybe would have pushed a little bit. Hopefully.
Doubtful.
I don't know this guy personally, but I don't
know him personally. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like him. I will say that.
But
and he wouldn't push back at all. I almost can guarantee that.
My issue is how quickly that turned. And the point of the matter is that, once again, this is Dana White, Donald Trump mentality of you reporters, like, you don't have anyone that you take care of. You don't have a family. You don't have, like, these fighters, they've got to fight these fights because they've got to take care of people. You don't understand that, though, because you're nobodies. Like, you don't have anything. You don't do anything. And, like, to me, that's a very serious allegation, because a lot of MMA media works for nothing or very little. And they do have families. And it does hurt them if fights aren't happening. It's hurt our channel. We're a smaller channel, but it's hurt us. Like, so to come out and say, like, these people don't have anything that's important to them, and then to have someone actually have a moment to bring that to the surface and say, you don't understand, like, what we all do. Like, we help promote UFC. Like, and even if we're just talking about it in a non-promotional way, it could be a negative aspect of the UFC. It's still promoting the sport, because you're doing,
it's creating content on the sport.
Creating content on the sport. It also, you have to have countervailing powers. That's it's super important for anything to grow, is for there to be, like, friction in some way to make it better. The UFC's largely been resistant to any of that, because of the fact that they are fucking, monopoly. They don't really have. I mean, I understand that they have their other fight outfits, but the way you want to be is the UFC.
They at least have a monopoly power.
Exactly.
If not be a full-out monopoly in the industry.
Yeah.
But I highly doubt that this podcast on Monday is going to be super substantive. I'm interested. I've heard a little bit. I did go and check out the show that I was invited on. Checked out like a minute of it. It didn't seem total frat boy bullshit, so I'm curious to see where it goes. And the guy who invited me on the show, the producer, was very cordial, so I am interested to see where this goes. But look, I mean, it's Barstool Sports. I have no respect for that outlet. Therefore, I don't have respect for people that work there. It's just how it goes. Sorry. If you're listening and you're from Barstool Sports, I'm assuming now that there's a lot of you listening because you all went and downliked our last video. Fucking snowflakes. That you guys, even if you think that you're producing some quality content, the outlet you are attached to is a stain on the community. 100%.
The other thing is, you can disagree. Like, I have never understood why, if we have a bad take on something and someone comes on,
which happens often.
Yeah, and someone comes on to our YouTube comments or Twitter or something and says, to me, I've been wrong and someone's called me out on the show before, right? And I don't take that as, like, it's never like I go, oh, fuck you, stop watching the show, you're a piece of shit. It's like, oh, okay, well, thanks for that. I won't do that next time. It's a matter of, like, you cannot like their outlet. It doesn't mean necessarily that you have some issue with the person sitting there. It's just, but you still have every obligation to bring it up that he didn't do right by the rest of MMA media by just bowing down to someone who just said, you guys, I mean, when I think of the people, I think of, all of the Twitter people that we follow that do MMA media, that none of them are, like, massively wealthy from doing MMA media,
No.
Like, and so to me, it's like, these guys are doing every podcast they can. They're doing guest appearances on other podcasts. They're writing for any media they can that will pay them for an article. Like, they are literally like most of them freelance journalists or freelance writers of some sort. And it's like, so, and they have families and they're working hard to get just like enough to keep their house or to keep their apartment, keep their car, whatever. To me, that you know, I'm so far left when it comes to like worker rights and journalism and things. So it's to me, it's a matter of this guy has no respect for the people who have done a lot of lifting for the UFC.
And his own. He's speaking about Robbie Fox or Dana White.
Both.
Both.
Obviously, to me, like it's both. It like works hand in hand.
No, you're right. In terms of Robbie Fox and him having that aspect or that part to play in that, and also he has like zero class consciousness. Think about it, he is a member of us, and he is selling himself out. He is being a scab. Okay, he's crossing that sort of proverbial picket line between media and what the media covers, the entities that it covers, and siding with them. That's why he becomes propaganda, in my opinion, and no longer truly a part of the media or not even a journalist, just part of the media. He becomes propaganda because he is sided with the corporation over the media. And you can't do that because our job is to hold that corporation or whatever entity, whatever institution we're covering to the truth, hold them to power. And if we decide that's not our job is to fluff them up, then you are the antithesis to the principle of media, the principle of journalism. And that's why, again, for Robbie Fox's sake, I have no respect for him. I know he won't be on the show Monday, but that's a little bit of a bummer. But oh well. Gary, anything else you want to talk about with this? This is the topic that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, no, I was listening like the people in the audience were listening. I wanted to hear what happened. I mean, explained it pretty well. Barstool Sports, you know, look, you call them a stand, and like I understand why, but like if they came out and said we're a clown outfit, we make jokes, don't take us seriously, okay, then that's what you are. But it's like when they want to play both sides of that, it's like we're clowns, but we should be taken seriously. And when you take it seriously and you expose something that we did wrong, well, we're just joking around. You know, like pick a side in this. Like if you just want to be goofballs, all right, there's a market for that. Knock yourself out. But then don't expect anyone to ever take you seriously. Or do your job seriously and don't be a clown. But you can't, like, this constant playing of both sides. Like it.
I look, I'm okay with the playing both sides, so to speak, like, because I think you can be a satirical comedy sort of personality and have substance. That's not a mutually exclusive thing in media, in my opinion. It's when you decide to portray media for the thing you cover, that's when it becomes crossing the line, in my opinion. And that's when it no longer just becomes comedy. It becomes, like I've said time and time again, propaganda. And Barstool specifically cross that line frequently when it comes to their content on MMA. Scott Brown saying Barstool has a show called Call Me Daddy.
But I mean, that's what it is, right? I mean, again, I'm not gonna act like a Barstool expert, but like I guess we all kind of have a feel of what they do there. And
I just don't understand why they're so mad. That's what that play is the shock, like the thing that shocks me the most is how upset at least hundreds of them are. Because I've had hundreds of mentions and messages.
Yeah.
I've just been deleting messages. I'm not.
Well, the great thing to me is when people, it's like, hey, Matt, you're a nobody who has no followers on your show, but I'm definitely going to take the time out to tweet at you and to invite you on the show. I don't understand. I've never understood that take. Like, if all of us are nobodies, why even fucking bother?
Why are you listening to
if
my
we
show?
make a statement and we're nobodies, just fucking go on with your life. You know, like if you like it makes no sense to me to have it be such a personal attack when we're attacking the content and you're attacking like the ability.
I am attacking him personally. I will say that.
Yeah,
I'm not attacking purely the content. I'm attacking Robbie Barstool Sport, whatever his name is.
He's a wimp. I mean, come on. That's the
Yeah.
truth.
I am 100% attacking him personally. I will admit that. It is ad hominem attacks, but the ad hominem attacks have some substance to them because it lays out the overlying fact that Barstool Sports has the same issues that Robbie has and that I have an issue with. And if you want to call him ad hominem, go for it, people.
That we're super consistent with all the time. Like, it could be someone like Michael Woods. You would still come out if he was kissing ass and say, this is not your job. Like, your job is not to promote.
I've called out a lot of people that I would say I respect. And even people like you guys know I had an issue with T Street the other day as well. Man, I've been having a lot of beefs with people recently, it seems like.
It's the boredom.
Dude, it really is, bro. Some of those tweets that I usually delete, I'm sending off now, man. But like I ultimately, I think, respect T Street's channel to a degree. I just think he's a clown. And I think his lackeys that work for him have been clowns that have been stalking me and our channel for some time. So, I'm going to have issues with you ultimately. But that's very different than Barstool Sports and Robbie Fox and my beef with them. That to me is I have an issue with them as an outfit, as a systemic institution. I think Barstool Sports is a joke. T Street, they might be some fucking jack-offs that work for him, and he might be a little bit of a clown, but their content's fine. Barstool Sports, their content's bullshit. They're all bullshit. Like I said at the very beginning of all of this earlier today, they're a bunch of asshats. So it is what it is, But like Fu said, I'm a nobody who's now going to be on their podcast on Monday. Who also, by the way, our channel has more total views than this podcast's YouTube channel.
Humble brag. Yep.
And they're part of a multi-million-dollar corporation. What? Interesting. But guys, let's get off that because I feel like I'm sending off too many shots right now, man. I gotta save some ammo for Monday.
Save some ammo for Monday.
Save some ammo. I can't repeat.
You can't go in there and get wrecked.
No. And
bad for the brand.
The Matt's not going to get wrecked.
How are they going to wreck me? Say I'm a nobody? I'm like, yeah, I'm a nobody. You guys don't know who I am.
You called me, right? I didn't call you. You called me. You said, can I be on your show? Okay. I mean, maybe I can make some time for you. I'm quarantining. I got a lot going on.
I'm the one that picked the day and the time. I was like, this is the day I'm free. It's the time I'm free. That's just how I work.
If that works for you, great. If not, well, that's your loss. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on. Do you want to get to some questions in the chat, or do you want to get into Fury Wilder 3 being rescheduled? Guys, in the chat, by the way, just to remind you all, this will be like a Q&A show as well, so we'll be taking questions and topics from the chat.
Let's just roll with that and end with Fury Wilder 3 or whatever. That's fine.
All right, L-Dog in the chat, the same Matt, but I'll obviously extend to the full panel. What are our thoughts on Filip Hrgović? I'm one of those guys where I think Filip Hrgović is his base level of skill is pretty high, right? He is a good boxer puncher, good jab, good power, good size for the division. Seems to be durable for what we can tell. My issue with him is similar to, not to a one-to-one analog, but similar to Adam Winowski, where there's a level of basicness to him, where I wonder at the very top if that basicness, so to speak, for lack of a better term, hinders him. For again, not one-to-one analog, but Mike Garcia. Mike Garcia's lack of a varied skill set, varied attack, varied defensive ability leads him to getting beat up or getting hit by B-level opponents. I think Filip Hrgović is going to have an element to that, where he's going to get hit a lot relative to some other guys like Fury and even like AJ, who AJ has now developed a good, bicycle to his wheels. He can get on his bike and start moving, pump the jab out. Hrgović can't really do that at this point, in my opinion. And until he can sort of show me some levels, I I view him as a perennial top 20, top 15 guy, but can he win a belt? I don't know yet. I think the jury's out on that one. You got it?
Right. If he can
Let me get some water. Bear back.
win a belt, that's a flaw in the sanctioning bodies, right? Because I mean, look, lots of guys. Charles Martin won a belt, you know. And again, I'm the Charles Martin defender here, but like, you know, if someone's forced to vacate and he's in the top 2 spots, I mean, he could win a belt. That doesn't mean he's a great heavyweight. But again, like, he's in the wrong era. This is a pretty strong heavyweight division, much stronger than it's been in the last 15 years. If this was 10 years ago, I think, you know, he's a top 5 heavyweight. In this particular heavyweight division, you know, he's got a good amateur background. He was in the Olympics, right? A good amateur background. He's got good skills. I just don't know if there's anything highlight. He doesn't have the power of the top guys in the division. You know, he can't outbox Fury or Luis Ortiz or Usyk. So, I mean, he's going to be on the outside. He's kind of like in the NCAA tournament. There's only teams on the outside of the bubble. Like, that's kind of where he is. I think he's good. He's got skills. He's formidable. I mean, he's not going to be easy work for anyone. I just don't think he beats anyone in the top 10. So, like, you know, a top 15 heavyweight is really where I see him. But again, if this was 15 years ago and he was in the Klitschko era, he'd be a top 5 guy. So I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying this is a tough heavyweight division.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really hard to line anyone out if they haven't fought anyone of, you know, that is notable. Someone who's really going to test your skills, like to show, you know, if you have enough power to keep someone off of you that has enough power to put you down, right? Or, you know, if you can box good enough to take and keep Usyk from just dismantling you, or like even an AJ, who's a great boxer but very underrated as a boxer, I think, because he dances that line where he wants to be super flash. He wants to have the really good knockouts, but also he could probably just beat most people in the heavyweight division by just backing up and using his jab and boxing for 12 rounds. But he doesn't want to do that because he feels like it's a boring way to fight or whatever. So we haven't seen enough. We haven't seen enough to say where he is. I think he needs, like a lot of these guys, a step up fight, but it just matters if it's too fast. And like with Gary on the sanctioning body and belts, promoters weasel their way into vacant belts all the time for people. And so to me, you can't really even look at belts all the time as like a statement of how good someone is, because the vacant belt scene is a joke.
True, and we will probably see some vacant belts in the next couple of years for the heavyweight division. Let's just be honest about it. I mean, I think Hrgovic is one of those guys. Like, I want to see him against like a Dominic Brazil or something like that first, so to speak, before I can like really gauge how good he is. You know, Robert Helenius. You know, have fight Helenius. That'd be a good fight for him next, in my opinion. You know, somebody that is battle tested, that is a true veteran of the game, that is still active and a top 15, 20 competitor. You know, that's what I want to see with Hrgovic next.
Could he outbox Chisora?
Not right now.
I don't think so either.
Not right now.
But that's something I don't even think he beats those guys. So I don't see how he could ever get into the top 10. Right?
It's time. You know, like if he is,
but he's not young, is he? I mean, he's not old at all for a heavyweight, but he's not like young, is he?
How old is Hrgovic?
I'm gonna say he's 28.
Someone look that up. Someone has Google on their computer that's in front of them right now, right? I would assume he's in his 20s still. And I would assume he can probably have another year or two to mature, so to speak. I want to say he's younger than the average, probably, as well. I could be wrong. But there's a ton of like really good heavyweight prospects right now. Like Tony Oko is still out there, down to Ba, Efe Ajagba. You know, there's some good.
He's 27, so I mean,
yeah,
that's fairly young for
he was born in '92. Yeah,
he's fine.
So
he's fine. He's 27. I'm 25. He's good. He's good. Let's talk about Wilder Fury, or I should say Fury Wilder 3, happening again October 3rd, per Mike Coppinger at the Athletic, and he states that this is not due to the coronavirus, that they were going to move the event anyways. First off, guys, is that bullshit?
I think that I think Team Wilder wants it moved. Now, kind of Top Rank and Bob Arum's in their court this time, right? Like, so but I mean, they were gonna. I think Wilder needs some time off. I think he should take an in between fight, although he's not going to do that. But he needs to get himself right, and he needs a long camp. And he needs a brand new game plan. Like, he basically needs to go to scratch and come up with something brand new. So I kind of thought like August was what we were initially talking about.
Mhm.
That seemed a little early to me from Wilder's standpoint. Now, Fury's standpoint, I think they
We're
want
talking July.
Yeah, it's July.
July. Yeah.
Look, man, there's not enough months in the year for a rematch to happen in the same time for Wilder to come with anything that's going to beat Fury after Fury knows he can just bully him that way. Like, I just, in my mind, there's nothing Wilder, you can't, in that short span of time, he cannot become the boxer that he needs to be, that we've all known he had all these flaws forever. You know, like he's got power, but Wilder is not a great boxer. He's never been. His footwork isn't there. There's a lot of things wrong with Wilder.
No one is saying anything contrary to that, but no one is stating also that he needs to become a complete boxer to beat Fury.
Well, Gary said he just needs to start from scratch. I mean, you can't start from scratch. There ain't like you can't start from scratch in 5 months.
Gary's saying game plan.
Oh, gotcha.
No one says he's going to come in and look like Arislande Lara in 6 months.
Yeah, but what game plan is he going to come with? Like, that's the thing. Like, what's he going to do?
He can't go backwards, right? Like, that's for sure. So he's got to time up on the inside. So they got to work on, and he's been able to tie up when he's been hurt, so he can do it. And he's going to have to give him angles and feints and try to find a home for the right hand. I don't know how you do it, right? Because he's already 34 years old. Look, but
I would do this. I would continue to add muscle to Wilder's frame because he needs to get bigger to deal with Fury on the inside. Fury on the clinch is where he needs that battle is actually the battle on who bullies the other is 100% determined in the clinch. And Fury is better in the clinch. He's stronger in the clinch. He's bigger in the clinch. So how do you get around that if you're Wilder? Well, A, get bigger. I mean, that's just a very simplified version of that, but just get bigger. B, he can get better technically in the clinch on the inside in a relatively short amount of time. That is something that is easier to shore up, in my opinion, than, let's say, his defense, like head movement, right? Like, that's a harder thing for muscle memory to get down. Drilling the clinch, that's pretty easy, in my opinion.
Yeah, but better relative to what he was, not better than Fury, who's
he doesn't have to be better than Fury. Better than what he was could be enough to offset Fury enough to create the space, create the angle for the right hand.
Possibly.
I'm not picking Wilder in the trilogy fight, but to say that Wilder has zero chance if this fight's in October, that's not accurate at all. He absolutely has a chance.
He has a puncher's chance. Absolutely.
I don't think that as well. If we go under the pretext of that he does change things up in camp, he does switch up the game plan, him and his coaches go into the booth, watch tape, figure it all out, and drill it and work that way. He
also doesn't have that team, Matt. He doesn't have a team that is like
a new team too. Like that's fair.
I have never disputed that to the contrary. I don't know how many people you listen to.
I'm not coming at you.
That's what we have to do. I think JD is not that guy, so to speak. I think he's a boxing mind. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's a good boxing head, but he's not a guy to watch tape and review it.
He didn't even want the towel thrown in when his guy was getting obliterated.
Boo, you don't need to relax.
Because that's his meal ticket, bro. And Wilder said if anyone throws the towel, they don't work for me anymore. So I mean, he was making a business move, whereas Breland was making a personal guy.
No one is saying anything to the contrary, but Mark Breland's still in camp. Wilder walked back firing him.
Yep, and that
Mark Breland watches tape.
Yeah, Mark
Breland, if he's given some element of authority in that camp, because he doesn't. Like, for my time and being with Wilder in camp, he's not the A mic, so to speak, right? He's not. He's a B mic. And if he is the A mic, things are different. I 100% believe that. If you look at the fights where Mark Breland was more of the voice in the corner, you do see improvements in his game. You do see the jab used better, for example. Like go and watch, obviously, the first Javern fight. That's predominantly Breland talking to him in the corner, not JD's. What's some other good fights that he used the jab in? I want to say the first Ortiz fight, which he did use the jab quite well. He knocked down Ortiz, remember, like with the third or second round. He set that up quite well. Mark Breland was a voice in his ear. So if Mark Breland is more, or if Mark Breland is allowed more authority, I think those changes can happen. But even then, like Fury's still good enough to win. You know what I mean? Like it's not a matter of all of a sudden then Wilder is guaranteed to win. No, of course not. But again, to the premise, the underlying statement of Wilder has zero chance with 9 months. No, I think that's plenty. That's enough time. That's 100% enough time to make adjustments in camp and to come out better in the next fight.
Yeah, in small ways, absolutely, but not to come in and outbox Fury. And that's it. Some people are like, "Oh man, he's going to have to do all these things."
I'm not saying
it's not
that's not what I'm saying. But small ways or small improvements have drastic outcomes within a fight. I
don't think adding more muscle is the way to go because he was gassed the entire fight. So I don't know that going up any more weight is an issue.
No. Didn't you hear? It was his costume, man.
It was his costume. Yeah,
it was the Sauron, shredder costume.
Again, I agree with Matt because if it goes 12 rounds, he has drastically decreased his chance of winning. He wants the fight to end in 6, 7, 8, 9 rounds, right? Because that means he knocked him out.
Yeah, for that 4,
5, 6.
4 or 5. Okay.
I think again he needs more muscle in the clinch.
There's things.
If it's 15 more pounds in his legs, dude, that's all he needs.
Yeah, but there's also things that as someone who's watched boxing forever, like finding distance is about being a good boxer, like using your jab, like knowing it, moving certain ways, like footwork, things. Fury is going to know that within that first 3 rounds, he can set everything in motion because Wilder's not going to be able to find his distance that quickly. He's not going to be able to establish his jab. He's not going to be able to he takes a lot of time to find those things. That's where Fury will pick him apart if he comes in with the same game plan.
You are right that Fury will probably jump on Wilder in the first 2 or 3 rounds like he did in the rematch, right? Like of course that was the path to victory in the rematch. Why would he not do that again in the trilogy fight? Wilder's way to offset that is to clinch up. And that's when the pounds become a factor, right? Because in order for him to stop that aggression, a check hook obviously will be a great thing for him to implement, but ultimately it will end up in the clinch. And if Fury's in the clinch and he's allowed to sort of control Wilder, then that's when Fury's going to get off his combinations. So Wilder's going to have to really play almost a negative style in the rematch. I'll be quite honest. Like he's going to have to go back and watch Klitschko tape.
Like AJ versus Ruiz. You have to take like a different approach to the whole fight. Like he can't back up like he can't back up like Joshua.
No, not like AJ at all. Because he doesn't have the wheels. Like Klitschko. I'm very specific with that comparison. Klitschko post when he got with Manuel Stewart, when he became more of the punch, jab, clinch, right hand guy.
Oh, gotcha. So not moving backwards, more just like get your shots in and then tie up, get broken up, get your shots in, tie up. Yeah.
I'll be like, how was Vladimir Klitschko not a perfect blueprint for Deontay Wilder? Not obviously a 1-to-1 analog, but in terms of making that adaptive changes in style, in technique for risk management. How can Wilder not take that blueprint?
It's a different pedigree of boxer too. It's a different brain, a different boxing brain. Like Wilder doesn't have, came into the game very late.
Klitschko didn't have that. Emmanuel Stewart have that.
That's what I'm saying. If there was ever an Emmanuel Stewart heavyweight, it's Deontay Wilder. And God rest his soul, Emmanuel Stewart's not with us anymore.
Yeah.
But that wasn't Klitschko that was able to adapt. He needed outside influence. He needed someone to come in and to change up the game plan. And again, we all have issues, I think, with this current team. Breland, though, I think could make those adjustments. Breland is a guy that utilized a very jab clinch heavy style in his amateur and pro career, and that's how he trains as well.
But it's also a reason he's not a Mike. That might have something to do with Wilder.
No, it's because Wilder and JD started from day one.
I mean, so
that's the reason why. I mean, when that's the first gym Wilder stepped into, that's the first coach he had, and that's. I'm
not saying get rid of your team. Like I don't think that way. I think Dees is a great dude. He seems like a really caring person. Like I know he cares about Wilder a lot. I know like it's very important to him. I think they're bringing in Foreman, right, for some stuff.
No, I don't know if that's official.
I've heard that rumored. Like I don't know that that's true.
I had heard something about that. Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
Maybe that was Barstool Sports too.
It might have been Barstool Sports. I heard that rumor too. I don't know if there's any truth to it. I have no idea.
But anything else on Wilder Fury 3, guys?
I mean, just on Wilder in general, I think because he got beat down so badly in the second Fury fight that people are really kind of like underestimating him at this point, right? Mm-hmm. Like
it's common though. They did that with Joshua.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Think about the swing of perception post the second Ortiz fight, where his right hand was the thing of God to post the second Fury fight, and now he's the bum again. You know, that's fickle fans.
I'm gonna pick Fury because I picked Fury the first time. I picked the second time cautiously both times, but I did pick Fury both times. I'm gonna pick Fury again, but I don't think it's a 99% chance that Fury's gonna win, and Wilder's got one chance to land a right hand. Wilder's good.
It's a 70-30 chance.
Abdamara said he's knocked everybody out until Fury. You're not supposed to do that. It's not that easy, right? Like at this level, just to knock everyone out, it's not easy. You're not supposed to do that. So we can sit here and look. I'm critical of Wilder's skill, especially his footwork, right? Mm-hmm. But he's been able to knock everyone out. So you can't say he's only got a puncher's chance, right? Because he's been able to set up that power against every other opponent.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, the top heavyweights have all pretty much done the same thing to me. What do
you mean?
Like Joshua is gonna. I mean, he's knocked out like everyone except for who? Like
Parker, Ruiz,
who's great.
Yeah.
Ruiz, who's great. So it's a thing where Wilder has been in there with Ortiz, who's old, goddamn age so far.
Klitschko. Did he finish Klitschko?
He finished Klitschko. Yeah.
I don't count the
but Klitschko was old. So I mean, look, I mean, I try to be very realistic about my critiques.
Hold on. I don't count the Carlos Takam finish as well. I don't count that.
That the confidence does not count. That was such a, and I'm for quicker stoppage. I would say
do you not count the first Ortiz stoppage or whatever because it should have been stopped in the 7th round too. Come on, these talking points are so lame.
The Takam stoppage was absurd. Matt, we often.
I didn't hear Foo's comparison.
Ortiz definitely should have won the first fight because it should have been stopped in the 7th, and and it wasn't. Stop. I'm being sarcastic.
No, I know. Doesn't matter. Barstool Sports 2.0. How are you comparing Wilder Ortiz 1 to AJ Takam? AJ Takam was a fight where nothing happened.
Understood, but you're saying it's a bad stoppage, right?
Stop. And it was a standing finish. The ref just waved it off at some point. And a lot of blows happened. There wasn't accumulation of shots. It wasn't some 20-punch barrage. Ortiz was dropped and unconscious. His legs were split out.
You didn't get my point about the 7th round when Wilder was.
But how is that relative to AJ Takam? Because AJ Takam had nothing like that.
Can I play translator? He's saying that Wilder shouldn't have got a knockout in that fight.
Yeah,
because it should have been stopped prior to that. He should have been knocked out.
I'm jokingly saying that fans from all sides are going to try to discredit certain things, right? And so the Takam thing to me was a talking point for a lot of people because they wanted to discredit AJ's stopping Takam, right? I don't really
look. AJ was completely dominant in that fight, but that wasn't a legit stoppage.
But it's a ref's decision. I don't know. We talk about not necessarily. look, if the sport is designed to like save certain people, the dude has no pathway to victory and the ref stops it because he's just getting beat up on for long enough during the fight, that's going to happen in this day and age of boxing.
I'm not disputing that. No one's disputing that.
But you said you're not going to give him that stoppage. That was your point.
I don't count that in my mind as a real stoppage because
I'm kind of with Matt. Like that stoppage.
And then you compared it to a legit stoppage where somebody was knocked down and unconscious.
No, I said that. I said that if the same stoppage had happened, Wilder would have been done in the 7th round.
No, because in that 7th round, there was a 20-punch barrage. That never happened in the Carlos Takam fight. Carlos Takam was never hurt like that in that fight, bro.
It should have been stopped.
I'll be honest. The Wilder Ortiz fight, that should have been stopped.
Yeah.
Takam or AJ, fuck no.
Did y'all ever watch the Holyfield versus Burt Cooper fight? Because it's like they say, Holyfield probably hits him with 30 shots unanswered, but Burt Cooper seems fine, right? After getting hit with like 30 power shots in a row, and the ref waves it off, and Burt Cooper's like, "But why did you stop it? I'm not hurt." He's like, "Yeah, but he hit you with like 30 shots in a row." So
you're not doing anything. You're not defending yourself. Yeah, no, I'm just being sarcastic. I just think that we live in like an age where like there is every time some way to diminish a win or to take something away. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but there are definitely listeners who hate AJ. There are definitely listeners who hate Wilder.
Don't talk to the listeners. Talk to me. I'm talking to you and your point.
It was a bad stoppage.
And your takes and your opinions. Yeah. So address my opinions. Don't address these
Takam was a bad stoppage.
Other people that aren't on the show. They aren't here. I'm here. Yeah. I'm on the mic.
I'm still not taking it away from him, but it's a bad stoppage.
No, I'm not taking the win away. I'm taking the stoppage away. I can take the stoppage away. I'm not taking the win away. He dominated Takam.
Yeah.
It was a boring fight, though, where nothing happened. And AJ broke his nose off a headbutt, so he didn't want to engage anymore. And Takam, I don't know what he was doing. Nothing.
The ref was like that boss who ends the conference call early. He's like, "Look, guys, let me give you some time back in your day. Like, we're getting out of here. This is bullshit."
That's what that was. The fight was so bad. I was like, we're good here, guys. Like, we don't need to keep doing this. Even the stoppage is so bad. Even Leonard Sterling in the chat is saying that was a bad stoppage.
Leonard's a great boxing mind. So I mean,
he's biased though, but he's a knowledgeable boxing mind. That's for sure. But he's biased. That's why I'm giving him credit here for saying that was a bad stoppage.
Yeah. But to be fair, like Takam's one of those guys who, like, I think you could literally punch him in the face for 36 minutes straight, and he would make it through it all. But like, you don't really want him to do that. You know, like you don't want him to do that. You know, like we've had too many deaths in the sport last year. Like, you know, like.
No, I'm for a much quicker stoppage than Matt is. Like a much quicker stoppage than Matt is. We've debated this many times.
No. I'm relatively for quick stoppages, but AJ Takam isn't that, bro.
That's
not that.
I don't know. Takam's very limited. The difference between like and here is like what I would say. The difference between why a Wilder fight would not be stopped versus a Takam. What's Takam going to do to come back where Wilder has like an obvious pathway?
Takam's going to unload the power. You guys just don't know about it.
How do you disrespect Carlos fucking Takam here?
Yeah, you know,
unreal. Okay. Little quick fantasy fight from the chat. I think it was from Santiago here. It was directed toward Gary, but I'll apply it to the whole panel here. Aaron Pryor versus Roberto Duran at 135. Who you got? Gary, Santi's asking you first, so you have honors to answer it first.
Nobody beats Duran at 135. Pryor made his living at 140. I would take Duran at 135. At 140, though, all bets are off. At 135, I'll take Duran.
I agree with that. But he did have lost at 135. He wasn't.
I know. But he also used to fight every week, too. But you're right. He did. So I guess not everyone beats him that way. I don't want Mark calling it.
True. At 140, I would take Aaron Pryor. Aaron Pryor was a much better 140-pounder. He's, like Gary said, I think on the show, the best 140-pounder of all time, probably.
Pryor's work rate and power and speed at 140 was unique. He's the one guy I would have picked to beat Floyd at 140 just because he would have outworked him. Duran was an animal, though. I mean, Duran was so good. Like, Duran wasn't just a puncher and a mole. Like, he was a master boxer, too.
So as you guys know, I have that list of like all the names of fighters I'm trying to like either re-educate myself on, just educate myself on, or just for the fuck of it, just go back and watch because I like them. Alexis Arguello is the first one on my list, right? Of this list of like at least like 80 people. So I just watched the Aaron Pryor fight last night, the first one, not the second one. God damn, man. Aaron Pryor, he might be able to outfight Durant on the inside. Like, that's not inconceivable. Even at 135 pounds. Like, Pryor's ability to be aggressive and throw with combination and velocity on the inside. Oh, man. And also,
Pryor...
hot take for you guys. Arguello, a little bit overrated. I'll say it.
Yo, I'm glad you said that.
I'll say it. I like Arguello. I think he was a fun fighter, but like,
when Gary said he would beat Loma at 126, I watched all the fights you guys sent me. I said, oh, shit, no way. No way. Not a chance. Not at 126. Sorry. Not a chance.
Do we want to have that conversation right now? Look, I mean, the fights I've seen, so like just in case Mark gets all upset, I saw the Ruben Oliveras fight. Ruben Oliveras, one of the greatest bantamweights of all time. That was like his coming out, Arguello's coming out fight at featherweight. Obviously watched the Ray Mancini fight. There's another fight I watched. I forget who he fought. There's a couple of the fights I saw, but I forget who he fought. And then obviously watched the first Aaron Pryor fight, not the second one yet. His work rate is just so low, in my opinion, for some guys. He will get chewed up by a lot of... That's why Aaron Pryor won. Because Arguello throws in single shots. And even then, like, his IQ on when to throw shots isn't that great, in my opinion. I mean, he is a good... Like, again, he is a great boxer. He's a great fighter of all time. But relative to the hype, relative to all-time lists, maybe a little bit...
Also, you're talking, like, cream of the crop. You're rating him against the cream of the crop. You're saying, like, great boxer... overrated in terms of like that level. Like I wouldn't put him maybe.
I wouldn't put him as the greatest featherweight or lightweight of all time. Not even near that list, in my opinion. And there's some people that do put him on that list. I don't put him on that list right now.
Obviously, Floyd's the best lightweight of all time, right?
Hold on, we'll get to that in a second if you want. I mean, this is one of those shows. We can do that.
Loma's the best featherweight of all time.
I want Gary's take on this because Gary hasn't talked about it.
Floyd's the best lightweight. Floyd's the best 130.
We will get to that in a second here. Okay, Gary? We'll get to that later.
Okay.
First, Arguello being overrated.
I mean, if you rate him as one of the best featherweights of all time, yes, you're overrating him. But I don't rate him that high. Okay. I still think he beats Loma. Like, I think Eric Morales and Barrera beat Loma too at 126.
Well, I think those are significantly, at least Barrera. Barrera is a significantly better fighter than both Morales and Arguello, in my opinion.
I also don't think you rate Loma very high at 126. Like, we're talking 126 Loma, not 135 Loma, where he's like probably maybe 9 to 10 pounds too high in a weight class. Was
Walters at 126 or 130?
126.
Okay. But where do you rank Salido?
All time?
Yeah.
Salido was 147 pounds in that fight. There was no weight clause. Like,
only to the groin. It was a dirty fight.
Everyone, look,
times
there's not a single legitimate person in the boxing world that says, like, if that fight is run back today, that Salido would have a chance. Like,
well, it's also Salido at 45 years old, who's now a senator in Mexico, right, or some shit.
No, like, I'm not saying like the age. Salido's a beast too. I don't want to take anything away from Salido as a person either.
Quickly, by the way, he's actually doing some good shit in politics.
He's doing great shit. Yeah.
So, shout out
Salido?
Dude,
I had no idea. Good for him. I didn't know he was into politics. Good for him.
Really,
he's doing a lot for the people.
Dude, I'm actually really impressed. Like, Manny Pacquiao, take some notes, bro.
Yeah. But let's be real. That Salido fight, that was his second, like,
quickly.
Amateur.
Hold on. Time out. You've been fact-checked. You've been fact-checked. PolitiFact by Santiago here.
Let's bring it.
Lomachenko Walters was at 130.
Was it? I don't think it was.
Like, fool, what's wrong with you?
I'll put it this way. I'll also include that as a 126-pounder win, even though it's technically 130 pounds. Because Nicholas Walters made his mark at 126 pounds beating Donaire and Darchinian. Those are Hall of Famers right there. So, I mean, Loma has a Hall of Fame run at 126, in my opinion, if you just include some 130-pounders as well. And I will say this, Loma's output is what beats Arguello. Arguello is so susceptible to A, having guys pressure him, B, having guys throw combinations against him, and C, guys out hustling him. Ruben Oliveras almost won his fight if he wasn't so small. The dude was a 118-pounder that then moved up to featherweight and fought up there. Okay? And then he got beat by a guy that was, 5'9", 5'10" tall. You know? Like, Arguello's a fucking giant. What, the tall, thin, explosive man, whatever he was called. So, for certain guys, there's a reason why Arguello had so much success against them. But with Loma, he's a 5'8", he's 5'6" or whatever. He's a guy that's pretty big as well, a guy that's moved up to lightweight and been successful there. And he throws volume, throws in a combination, knows how to pressure fighters as well. Loma, I think, is an underrated pressure fighter. Yeah, Loma wins by decision. Close decision, don't get me wrong. Very close decision. He gets knocked down at least once, but he wins 9 rounds.
Oh, shit. Thanks, Santi. That was his second fight at super featherweight. That's crazy. I didn't realize. I thought it was 126.
At 126, who wins, Morales or Loma?
I don't think anyone beats Loma at 126.
I would pick Morales due to it being fucking Morales. And Morales was such a violent combination boxer that even the best defensive minds had trouble with him.
Well, and it depends too. Like, are you saying the Loma that was a rookie in the second fight, like he's fighting Morales, or Loma 3-weight champion, knowing a lot more about pro sport?
126-pound Loma that beat Gary Russell.
Yeah, post Gary Russell.
Oh, that I don't know that he would beat Morales. Like, but in a perfect world, like
you would have this version of Loma shrink down to 126 and fight.
No. Like, but if Loma could go back to 126 easily, like there would be no issue, right?
He could do. I don't know. Easily, he could probably get back down there. Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, if you're rating him against Morales at the end of his career, or like even at the height of his career, right?
Prime versus prime.
That's different. Prime versus prime. Then like Loma would have a good chance.
Why are you acting like when we have fantasy matchups, it's not always prime versus prime?
I don't know, because we talked about Orlando Salido.
And Orlando Salido does not need to be in his prime to whoop some ass.
No, I understand, but also that wasn't like Loma in his prime, because they made a lot of stupid decisions in that fight. Like,
no, Loma just got out hustled, man. That happens. The fight after that, he beats Gary Russell.
He didn't get out. He got out hustled because they didn't put a lot of stuff into the claws that they should have. Like the reason Canelo stays so good and Floyd is because they control all the terms of the fight.
You cannot say that Loma was green and therefore that Salido loss doesn't matter when to this date, his most significant win is against Gary Russell Jr. And that was the fight after Salido. That's his best win to date, other than maybe Nicholas Walters.
Yeah, Gary Russell's never going to be able to come in at 147 pounds and bully the shit out of him.
So?
That's what happened in the Salido fight.
Get over it.
I'm just saying, like,
who cares?
He lost.
Who cares?
Yes, 100%. But
did Salido miss weight?
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Okay.
Then and Loma's team completely dropped the fucking ball with a lot of stuff in that fight.
You can kind of complain about that. But other than that, no, I mean, Loma took the fight. Can't bitch about it. And honestly speaking, most of the time, and statistically speaking, if you miss weight, you're more likely to lose. Because you have that camp, it's signs of you being out of shape more than you trying to take an advantage because you just lost a third of your paycheck or whatever it is. You don't want to do that. It's mostly a sign of lack of discipline.
I think it was a calculated move more than it was a bad camp, right? Like it sounds like Tank Davis misses weight because he had a bad. I think Salido's like, I'm going to take a size advantage into a fight.
Yo,
you know what I'm saying?
You're the greatest featherweight of all time. Get over it.
I agree.
Get over it.
Figueroa fought a guy that missed weight by 7 pounds or something like that.
And here's the thing: you don't see like Muhammad Ali fans trying to discredit that loss to Joe Louis.
It also, like, you guys act like he got absolutely demolished, and it was a split decision. I love it.
Joe Frazier.
Joe Frazier.
I have Mark call in. Sorry, slip of the tongue there. is lost to Joe Frazier. You don't see that. You know, you Loma fans, you guys need to relax about the Salido loss. It's okay. The best fighters of all time have losses.
Right. Like, I'm a huge Holyfield fan. Holyfield lost the first fight. He lost 2 fights to Bo, right? But the first one he lost, it was a great fight. He lost. It happens. Bo was a great heavyweight. It happens.
And Santiago did not put him on the top 20 heavyweights of all time. That's
I think he's got to go on the list, but
crime.
like after the age of like 27, 28, he did nothing. Literally nothing. I mean,
all right. Fu brought up that Floyd Mayweather is the greatest lightweight of all time. And I would assume that you think that he beats Roberto Duran at lightweight as well. Gary, I would assume, is about to regret that Floyd's best weight was at 130, not 135.
yeah, Floyd's best weight is 130. You can also make an argument at 154 because he's got 3 fights at 54 and he beat De La Hoya, Cotto, and Canelo. That's a pretty good resume. That's pretty good.
Yep.
But I'd say Floyd's the best 130 pounder. It's the best super featherweight ever.
I would say, who cares about 130? Same with like 140 pounds. That's why, like Aaron Pryor, sorry, dude. Like, greatest junior welterweight of all time. Awesome, man. Golf clap for you, dude. The greatest lightweight of all time. That matters. The greatest super featherweight of all time. No one gives a shit about that. So, you Gary, don't think he's the greatest lightweight of all time? You think Duran is clearly the number 1? Do you think Mayweather's the number 2? Like, where do you put him in that lightweight discussion as well?
It's tough, right? Because Shane Mosley's run at 135 was short, but it was awesome, right? Like Mosley was an animal at 135. He was way too big for the weight and then grew out of the weight. No, I would say Duran is definitely the best lightweight. But then, like, you're gonna look over Pernell Whitaker. Like Whitaker had a better run at 35. I gotta look up what weight. Because I don't remember what was that 35 and 40. But Whitaker was better at 35. Chavez was better at 35. And I would argue Mosley's run at 35, although short, was more dominant than Floyd's.
But if Floyd was going to fight any of those, would you take any of those people in a fight over Floyd?
Prime Shane Mosley at 135, man.
It's tough, right? But Shane always struggled with pure boxers. Winky Wright, Vernon Forrest, Floyd. You know, like that kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I'd pick Duran to beat Floyd at 35. I'd pick Duran to beat anyone at 35.
I wouldn't pick Senior.
What was that?
I wouldn't pick Chavez Senior. That was
I'd take Floyd to beat Chavez Senior.
Chavez Senior. I mean, he was getting beat by Meldrick Taylor and Pernell Whitaker, and he got beat by Pernell Whitaker.
He's the interesting one, right? Because that's that's like my all-time dream fight. And I know, like, this casuals that would put to sleep, but that would be some fight. That would be like 2 scientists going in there and in their lab coats and mixing it up. Like, who can come up with the best potion? Like, Floyd's the bigger hitter, so I guess I'd lean towards him. But like, I don't know. Pernell, who's on my wall. One of my greatest moments ever was meeting Pernell Whitaker. I got to talk boxing with Pernell Whitaker. That was awesome. I don't know. Like, you could hit. There's been times Floyd got hit. You couldn't put a hand up Prime Pernell Whitaker. Chavez couldn't put a hand on him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who would you take at 135? Prime P or Prime Floyd?
Well, Pernell Whitaker is one of my favorite fighters of all time. Like, I don't like Floyd Mayweather. I just know he's
yeah.
If you're gonna put him against anyone, you know,
I'd pick Floyd.
I would probably pick Floyd, but that's probably because I wouldn't pick anyone over Floyd. Like,
Floyd,
I mean, he's proven.
I've had too much pop.
Yeah,
he didn't have as much pop as Floyd at that weight class, in my opinion.
Floyd at 130 and 135, like, that's when people try to talk about like 147 Floyd and they say he just ran all the time. I'm like, go back and watch him at lower weight classes. He is fighting outside of his weight and beating these people. Like, that's the difference, right? Like, it's like not necessarily exactly like, because Mayweather won in much easier fashion than like a Loma, but similar thing of going, you know, further in your weight than what you really are able to fight necessarily, right? And still winning. Mayweather at 130 and 135, I would not pick anyone against him. I just wouldn't. Like, I think he would beat anyone at those weights.
I agree. I mean, for those who don't remember, go back and watch the Diego Corrales fight with Floyd Mayweather. Just go back and watch that fight.
Yeah, but go back and watch like the Famoso Hernandez. And look, Famoso Hernandez was a good fighter, but he wasn't,
Not true.
and Famoso Hernandez fought him really tough. I mean, and that's Famoso Hernandez. You know what I'm saying?
So did oh God. I'm gonna fail at this. There's another really kind of tricky fighter that
Right,
took
like
Floyd to task at 135, I think, wasn't it?
Manuel Augustus.
Yeah.
That's a good fight. Obviously, the Castillo fights are some of the best fights they can watch.
But Castillo was really, really good.
He's also one of those guys that's really underrated in the all-time discussion for lightweights, by the way. Castillo could almost be in that top 20 discussion of lightweights of all time.
Yeah,
Am I wrong on that, Gary?
No, Castillo was really good. I mean, you saw it's like top 20. You got to go through his resume. But he's reasonable. That's not out of line.
Okay. I like Castillo. He's one of those guys I put on my list just because I want to go back and watch his fights. He's one of those guys that made me a boxing fan back in the day.
Max asking me, he's going to this, like, Lloyd Honeyghan and Simon Brown. I'm like, guys, these guys fought in my era. Simon Brown fought Terry Norris, and like, he fought on a Chavez card. Look that up. See if I'm wrong about that. Terry Norris in '93. I watched that fight live on my illegal pay-per-view cable box that my dad bought for $200.
Damn, Gary was rich in '93.
I still came. My dad still came while I was rich.
Let's talk about the Josh Warrington Xu Shan fight, which is most likely happening whenever this coronavirus thing, spills over. And Warrington said that the Can Xu fight or Xu Shan fight will be more exciting than the Stevenson or Russell fights. Guys, do you ultimately agree with that? And are you ultimately excited for the Warrington Xu Shan fight?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of punches. Prediction. A lot of punches. No, it's a high action fight. I think we all agree we're going the distance. We're not going to get a knockout in this fight.
Yeah, the knockout ratio for either guy is very low. Very low.
Josh Warrington got a knockout in his last fight, didn't he? When he fought in Leeds.
He fought a guy no one's heard of.
No, I know, but like
that's a stoppage versus Selby, right? Too, but it was like
no, he didn't get a stoppage against Selby. He won all 12 rounds.
I don't remember.
He did not get a stoppage. I'm looking at Warrington, and I like Warrington. I think Warrington can beat. I'm picking Warrington to win.
Oh yeah, I'm picking Warrington to win. But this is a fun fight.
It's a fun fight. And I like Warrington, but like he can't crack. He punches like Jonah Carroll. Like who's he knocking out?
He did crack Carl Frampton though.
That's true.
He's one of those weird guys. You're muted, by the way, Phil. I don't know how you got muted and you're talking still. But Warrington is one of those guys that has like this settled power, but definitely not enough to like actually finish people. Like that's just not what he's capable of, so to speak. Especially elite level competition. That's not in him. But
I thought I remembered a stoppage in that fight.
But he'll throw 1,000 punches a fight, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's ridiculous for him to try to hype this up as better than either of those other fights. Those other fights have been better fights to see. But I mean, this is a good fight. It's not that it's a bad fight.
I think he might be right in it being maybe the more exciting fight because these guys are going to throw, like I said, 1,000 punches each. Yeah. Shakur Stevenson, Gary Russell, those are tricky opponents. Those are bigger fights for the division. Those have more meaning for the division. But those also far more dangerous fights for Josh Warrington. And also the money, I think, is going to be a lot more for those fights. So that's why you're going to see a cheaper unification in Warrington Xu Shan for the super WBA title at just regular featherweight. Because this fight will be for that super WBA belt.
And I guess it would never happen, but Warrington versus Russell would be like one of the fights, like one of the 5 fights I'd want to make. Like that, I would like to see how Russell adapts to Warrington's punch output.
That fight is for the true number one guy at featherweight. Because there isn't that guy yet, in my opinion. Yeah. That's the fight to make. And until that fight is made, nothing really matters in featherweight for me, let's be honest. Let's talk briefly here. I'm just going to run through this. The IOC is under fire, guys, over Turkish boxers testing positive for the coronavirus. And then also, I think it was the next day, another boxer from the Olympic qualifier tested positive for coronavirus. IOC is in damage control right now. As they said, it's not their fault. for a variety of reasons, but it probably was their fault. And the AIBA, which is the former conglomerate which was in charge of amateur boxing and Olympic amateur boxing, and they're in a suspension right now due to ties to drug cartels. They're hoping that they can jump back into the Olympics post this whole coronavirus and have their suspension lifted. So amateur boxing, guys, in a great state right now. Just got to say that. Any thoughts on amateur boxing before I jump on?
Just echo Mike Conlon's, sentiments. If you haven't seen it,
Or
just
the
go.
picture. Or the
Yeah.
picture. Yeah. Just the
I
picture.
mean, just
Speaking of
fucking all crooked.
Speaking of coronavirus, to get all of this sort of stories out of the way, all the sad stuff. Travis Kaufman quarantined after testing positive for COVID-19. Clarissa Shields' fight against Maria Evdekar has been postponed due to coronavirus. This is unfortunate news because maybe he should have been killed. Carlos Baldomir is still alive, not killed in a violent prison riot in Argentina, as we all believed he died in prison. He's still alive, unfortunately, as he's in prison for sexually assaulting his daughter. Piece of shit human being. To better news in terms of coronavirus, Amir Khan is offering his 4-story building in Bolton to the NHS. Shout out to Amir Khan for that. I think that's a really cool move. And more boxing topics. Chris Eubank Jr. training with Roy Jones Jr., by the way, guys. And last boxing topic of the day. Oh, we have one more. Sorry. Burchelt is staying fit, says deal to face Oscar Valdez is close. And by the way, guys, as I think everyone knows, ESPN and Fox have been airing nothing but reruns of fights. And they've all done relatively decent viewership for reruns. So shout out to everything kind of doing good numbers here. And maybe casual fans watching a bunch of fights.
I just on that, like, that's probably good. Maybe it'll get more people to buy the trilogy, but like those numbers are inflated because there's nothing else on. Like there's no. Me and Rob were talking about an EA electronic video game fight today, like it was real. Like I mean, the withdrawals are really real.
Well, I mean, what are you doing to deal with the withdrawals? I mean, are you not like I have my list of fights I want to watch or fighters I want to watch. I'm trying to, get more into the history of boxing in the downtime, to sort of solidify my knowledge on the sport. I mean, what are you guys doing to?
That's what I'm going to do. I haven't done that. I haven't gone back and watched some classics, but I want to go back and watch a lot of fights from the 90s.
Fights you grew up on? Nice.
Fights I grew up on and go back and.
Dude, have you seen, shout out to him, Rummy's Corner. Have you seen the Rummy's Corner 1990 heavyweight division documentary he did?
No, I heard it was really good.
Dude, you got to watch that.
I'll check it out.
First off, he has like all the footage. I want you to watch that just for us to have the conversation afterwards about how we can do that and not have copyright issues. Because he shows all of those fights, like all the moments. And he goes, it's like an hour-long thing. You're going to love it, dude. I guarantee it. I went back and watched a lot of his stuff on the heavyweights when we were doing that top 20 heavyweight show. It's very educational. I don't know about his current stuff, but I don't know about his views on other things. But in terms of his history videos and perspective videos on careers, really good stuff. Recommend that. Phil, what are you doing to itch the nerve or the scratch of boxing?
Well, I mean,
take that.
I took a job promotion, so I'm like working. I literally got promoted on a Sunday, worked Monday, and then was told not to come back to work indefinitely until whatever on Tuesday. So I've been on conference calls basically from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. all day, every day. And then I've been playing a shitload of Diablo. So
no
gaming.
So no boxing.
Yeah. So gaming. And I don't like old boxing. Like if you guys send it my way, I watch it. But like we talk about current boxing, and I don't know. I don't really, with a lot of things, I don't go back and look historically. Like
I'll be honest, it's hard for me to sit down and watch sports that have happened a long time ago. It's not easy.
No.
I don't know if you, Gary, if you find it easy to go back and watch fights or Foo that are from 60 years ago that you have no emotional connection to, it's very hard for me.
It's tough if I have no. Like I was watching NBA Classics. NBA Network had a bunch of classic games on, and it had like the Showtime Lakers Game 5 against the Celtics in '87, and that's where they were. Bird hit the 3, and then Kareem missed a free throw, went out of bounds, and Magic hit the little baby hook shot. Then like they were so I love that Showtime Laker team. Like that was like I love that. I wasn't Laker. Well, I was then. Like I don't care about the Lakers now, but like I love that team. I can go back and watch that. But if like they were still in '94's Knicks versus Rockets, God, that was boring. Because all the games like 81-79. It's all fouls. There's no pace to the game. It's like this is unwatchable.
Or like 69 Celtics, like when you weren't alive and
I have no interest in that.
No interest, right? So because you didn't live through it. Like I can go watch like the 89 to 93 Bulls stuff because like I lived through that as like a 9-year-old kid. I was like, oh shit, Michael Jordan's amazing. And then, he got beat by the Pistons like 2-3 years in a row and then finally overcame. I can go back and watch that. But to go back and watch now, it's different. Like, I'll go back and watch fighters like Willie Pep and things to kind of see where fighters have derived maybe their styles or who kind of
the evolution of things,
right? The evolution of the sport. But I'm not going to go watch like fight for fight, like 15 round fights
and watch round and sit there and watch the whole fight.
No, it's not that it's boring or that I'm not a big fan because honestly, I like more of the 12 round fights that we have today than I do of like a first round knockout fight. It's way more interesting to me. Where like a Sweet Pea and Mayweather fight to me is like a dream fight. I would love to watch it, with low volume and just super tactician fight, but I just don't have with anything. I don't really dig in like that. I'm not like a video game guy who goes like, what was the first video game that anyone ever played? Let me go back and look and watch someone play this thing. I just don't really care to that degree on those things because we'll talk about stuff right now.
Boxing is the one sport I can go back and look at old fights. But like basketball, I have to have some connection to it. And baseball is just because baseball is doing the same thing. Like the 100 greatest games ever. It's like, this is unwatchable. I have no interest in this. Even the games I grew up on, like the 91 Braves versus Twins Game 7. Like,
they should just show Robin Ventura get his ass whooped by Nolan Ryan 24/7. That's what they should show.
Sorry to interrupt you, Gary. Continue.
But no, I can go back like Holyfield versus Bo, Holyfield versus Cowie, Gatti
any Roy Jones fight,
any Roy Jones fight, any Pernell Whitaker fight. I can go back and watch it 100 times. And it never gets old to me. Boxing's the one sport for whatever reason. Like
all the Robinson fights.
You mentioned guys that you have a connection to.
Yeah,
guys that were in your era. Like I can go back and watch any Diego Corrales fight.
For sure. Yeah.
Any Prince Nassim fight.
Any Prince Nassim fight.
Yeah.
Even the shit ones. I will go back and watch those.
Yeah.
Because that was shit that I grew up watching on YouTube and torrent streams and just downloading shit. That's the shit I grew up on. But you tell me to go back and watch. And there's some guys on the list. Let me bring up some guys that are probably gonna be tough for me. Like Lord Honeygam or whatever his fucking name is. Dude, that's gonna be rough. I have no idea who that guy is. I have no connection to him. I know he's a UK guy that was listed like the top 20 UK guys on BoxRec. So I was like, fuck, I got to put him on the list.
He beat Donald Curry as a welterweight, who's from Fort Worth.
That's why he's on that list. But like Maurice Hope, I have no idea who that is.
I didn't know that was either.
Who else? Like Joe Bugner, I kind of know about. I think I've seen some fights of his. Like I have no emotional connection to. Who else? Carlos Ortiz, Edwin Rosario, Daniel Zaragoza. Like these are all guys like I don't know. It's like I don't have an emotional connection with. It's gonna be hard for me. The way I kind of do it is like I have to find stories. Like for like Arguello, I went and found like his life. And then if you know anything about Arguello's life, you know his massive spiral out of control into drugs and everything, and him getting his life back. And that instantly hooked me into watching his fights because now I'm interested in the story of the person more so than just watching it for X's and O's and to like download information into my brain. That seems very monotonous to me. I like knowing stories and knowing the history of things. So So that kind of helps me get sucked in. Let's talk about one more thing, guys, and we're going to head out of here. And it's not a boxing thing, unfortunately, Gary, but maybe you have some thoughts about this. UFC champion John Jones arrested for aggravated DWI and negligent use of a firearm in Albuquerque. He was driving around in his car with Jorge Masvidal's bottle of tequila and was firing off shots out of his car. So, guys, thoughts on John Jones now in another legal predicament, another drinking and driving incident.
Can we just be done with John Jones? I mean, look, I love him. Next to GSP or possibly above GSP for like the best run as a champion, right? But he's a shit human being. And his fights have gotten progressively less interesting to me as he's gone on. He completely buys into the narrative that he needs to beat someone at their own game, and that's not how you reign as a champion. A champion, you make someone fight your fight. You know, you don't go in and try to beat someone at their game. And he's done that now for like his last 3 or 4 fights. He hasn't been as dominant as he needed to be. He's obviously like a completely lost human being outside of the cage, you know, and he's just, to me, I always look at like the larger implications, like the IOC stuff and this, like it's bad for our sport. Like it's really hard to bring people into a sport when they have to deal with this shit, you know, and we don't deal with it well as a sport either. Like, because a lot of times we're like, yeah, he beat his wife. That's fine. Let him fight. I can't wait to see this next fight. Whereas, like, if it's the NFL, like, they're out for a year. You know, they don't get anything. They're, you know, without pay. They've got to do all these programs, and we don't do any of that. So, can we just be done with John Jones? Like, let's move past it. He's not the John Jones up and after that very first fight with oh God, my mind went blank.
Gustafsson.
Yeah, Gustafsson. Yeah. He's not the same. He's not the dominant guy that was just chewing through the division.
Gary, as a complete casual sporting fan when it comes to MMA, any thoughts on John Jones? Legal troubles?
I know who John Jones is. He's a heavyweight, right?
Light heavyweight.
All right, close enough. I've heard the name a million times. I could probably even put a face. Like if you lined up 3 guys, I could probably pick them out. I mean, it's. I mean, he was in Albuquerque. Was he in city limits? I mean, like you're not supposed to be firing a gun when you're drunk, but there's a big difference between shooting your gun out in the middle of nowhere and shooting your gun in the middle of Times Square. Like, I mean, like it's against the law either way, but one's a serious thing, and one's a lot less serious. Is that reasonable? Like, I don't know where he was. If he's out in the middle of the country,
he was arrested in Albuquerque, city limits for sure. He was arrested across the street from a strip club.
Okay, I mean, he probably wasn't out in the middle of nowhere then.
No,
like,
he wasn't. It looked like downtown Albuquerque.
I'm trying to give the guy the benefit of the doubt because I don't know the guy from, you know, I don't know. I mean, I know the name. I'm sure I've seen him like on highlights and stuff. I don't know. I mean, again, if he's in the middle of a city shooting guns drunk, yeah, you're going to jail. I mean, there's really no way around that.
Just Matt, how glad are you to have Adesanya? Like, if something like this happens to Adesanya, then that's just like, man, I'm just fucking driving off a cliff, bro.
Dude, you know, look, we've had this discussion a lot about how many MMA fighters or boxers have really disappointed us as being just shitbag human beings. I can't take it Adesanya as a shitbag, man. I can't take it.
I don't think it's gonna happen. He seems very well put together when it comes to.
Like if somebody told me like Usyk like kills puppies, like I would be devastated.
For sure. There's certain people you just really love. Like, you know, he's got that personality.
Yeah, somebody told me like Canelo was a serial like woman beater. I'd be like, dude, like I would have to like take a day, and like decompress because that would hurt, man. Like that'd be something like I don't idolize. I don't use that word. I think that word is far too meaningful. But somebody that I really admire and respect in this sport.
Yeah.
And for
That
them,
does things the right way.
and that they
No.
seem like a cool guy or a cool person, like that always kind of translates to me. And if they actually are jackasses in real life, yeah, that fucking ruins it. And most of these guys are fucking jackasses.
Especially in MMA. That's like, I mean, in boxing too, I don't want to like paint it as like just MMA has like these really bad actors, but dude,
These skinheads.
well, and there's a general disregard for even the other fighters. Like, it's like, I got mine. Who cares if what you got for this fight or whatever? And I think there's maybe sometimes more of camaraderie in boxing.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Is John Jones still relevant in the UFC? Is he still like a top guy?
Yeah, he's the light heavyweight champion.
Oh, he is a light heavyweight champ. Okay.
He is never okay. His only loss was a disqualification before he was ever a champion.
For a 90 degree.
Yeah, he
right?
threw a 12-6 elbow.
12-6,
That's illegal. So
He just beat the shit out of the guy too.
So as a champion, he has never lost. He is a 3-time champion.
Do they do pound for pound ratings in UFC? Is that not really a thing?
He's
number
largely considered the number 1 pound.
Oh wow, okay, that's why I know.
He's either the greatest of all time or the number 2 greatest of all time.
Because he's been around for a while, right? Because I've known that name for
He's been champion now for at least 10 years.
Let's put it this way: when he was out for being on suspension or whatever, that's when DC became like the talk, But he obliterated DC and
came back, knocked him out with a head kick, and got suspended again.
Yeah. Obliterated him twice.
Think about this. John Jones suspended for PEDs, right? Has the layoff, right? Comes back, has a comeback fight, kind of looks suspect, and then head kick knocks out Daniel Cormier like the 3rd round. It obliterates him, right? Boom, pops again.
Yeah.
3-time light heavyweight champion. Never lost a fight as a champion.
Yeah. Very Tyson Fury-esque.
But
Tyson Fury is a much better human being, and in some ways, not in the other ways.
I would never.
I don't know that Tyson Fury would hit a woman who was pregnant and then just leave the scene. I don't know if like that. That to me, like that takes a certain level of sociopath.
The guy that thinks women belong in the kitchen and homosexuals would bring about Armageddon, I think he would definitely do that.
Yeah, maybe. I think
he would definitely.
Yeah, maybe.
Matt, there's a difference between making a sexist comment and leaving to die. Like those are 2 different things.
Well, she wasn't gonna die. She had like a broken arm.
You don't know that.
Such a shit move, dude. Yeah, like John Jones is really low on my who's a good human fucking totem pole.
Tyson Fury is right there. Tyson Fury is right there, dude. Like, there's no line of distinction between those.
He
guys.
probably should be, but I just don't. I don't know. I don't.
But both have addictions to cocaine.
Yeah.
Hey
man, come on.
That doesn't make you a bad person.
Cocaine's fun.
No. It doesn't. Addiction to it might make you do bad things.
That's true.
Yeah. Not a bad person, but make you do bad things, like hitting a pregnant woman while driving, and
that's true.
Deciding to hop out of your car with your cocaine and just run off, book it for 24 hours and hide out in the bush. Those are all bad things. But digressing, guys. Hit the like button.
I gotta hear that story more. I don't know.
Just go look it up, man. John Jones has some real wild stories.
Dude, there's a reason why, like, me and Phil are just like, dude, like, again, his first time getting in trouble with the law was a DUI where he crashed his car to a telephone pole and he had 2 strippers in the car with him while his common law wife, so to speak, and kids are back at home. And then it was the whole hit and run accident with the pregnant lady in Albuquerque where he took off with his cocaine, left his weed and condoms, and what else in the car?
Probably a gun.
Dude,
probably a gun or something.
Dude, it's wild. Like I said, dude, the story here is him driving around with Jorge Masvidal, another UFC fighter's tequila, popping off shots in his car just for the fuck of it, coming out of the strip club. That is such a combat sports story through and through.
Also, if that isn't like the most Arizona story you've ever heard, like when I lived in Arizona for 2 years coming from Texas.
New Mexico.
Oh, New Mexico. Same thing. That area, they want to be Texas. Here's what's funny. Like Albuquerque, like New Mexico and Arizona, they want to be Texas.
Is that like a good thing? Like is Texas like a thing that like is?
They see Texas as the wild, wild west, right? So everyone out there like walks down the road with like 2 guns on their hip, like completely open carry. Like, I don't know if anyone in the chat's from New Mexico or Arizona, but it's very true. Like when you tell them that you're from Texas, dude, they like, oh my, I love Texas. Have you ever been there? No. But it's like the wild, it's the wild, wild west. They just, for some reason, they see it as like this, like pinnacle of like freedom. And it's, I live here, guys. It's not.
Dude,
it's not.
I'll say it's all this Midwestern rivalry between like Oklahoma and Texas and Arizona and New Mexico.
Fuck Oklahoma.
I have no beef with any state except for Oklahoma.
Yeah, fuck Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed this late night stream that we just decided to do for the hell of it and give you guys some content. The top 5 scandals in boxing history video is coming out tomorrow. It's almost done. I took a break from editing because I just needed to. My brain was fried. I wanted to come and just talk to you guys. So that'll be done probably sometime tonight, but publishing tomorrow, and it's looking really good. I gotta say, not to toot my own horn and pat myself on the back, but that's what I'm doing right now. It's amazing. I got an account to C-SPAN to download congressional hearings just to give you guys the perfect B-roll. You're welcome. You're welcome, guys.
Thank you, Matt. I was playing Diablo.
The struggle that I do for you guys getting C-SPAN accounts that I'm never going to use again. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, on all social media platforms. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio if you want to support the channel in any financial way. Foo?
Find me at Foogatti MCR, Twitter, Instagram. Also, we're talking loosely. I don't know if Gary's in on this or Gary plays games, but maybe Rob, Matt, myself will start playing some Twitch games together and hanging out on there to talk to you guys. And mine's Foogatti456 at Twitch if you want to follow me. I know Santi does because Santi's a real homie. He follows you everywhere. I love him. He's always around.
All right, can we talk about Santi really fast?
Yeah.
Dude, you want to know how much of a homie he is? So I have an expired driver's license right now, which sucks because the DMV is closed right now due to the pandemic. So I can't get a new driver's license right now.
You can't buy weed.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
So dude, so it's been like a couple of days now, right? Santi, drove all the way from where he lives, which is pretty far, to go to my shop to pick up some stuff for me. And he came tonight and dropped it off before the show and my birthday present, a belated birthday present. And just gotta say, man, we don't deserve Santi.
If y'all don't know, Santi, he's the realest fucking guy in the world.
Oh my God. If my kid is half the man that Santiago is, I've done my job as a parent.
For sure.
I would never do that for my friends. like
I don't know why they do it for you, but I mean, hey.
Dude, I was so shocked Santi said yes to that. So shocked. Love you, Santiago. Gary.
I don't have to worry about doing that for any of my friends because I don't have any.
Oh, thanks, guy.
Any that live near him.
Yeah. No, everyone who lives near me who cares about me lives in my house. So, two things, Santi. Foogatti was wrong. Texas is the greatest country in the world. And Matt, you said you wanted to watch Zaragoza. You can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. 97 Zaragoza versus Morales, and score it too. It doesn't go the distance, but just.
You want me to score it though?
Yeah, keep the score. Yeah, tally the score. I'm not gonna tell you who wins. I'm just gonna tell you it doesn't go the distance. But just score it, and I want to know who you had winning.
Oh.
Okay.
All right, I'll do that.
One of the great fights of all time.
I'll do that tomorrow then. I'll put that above everything else on my list. But guys, have a great night. If you're listening in the UK right now in the morning, good morning. And see y'all whenever. Peace.
I got Matt saying y'all.
Oh.
Texas is coming out.